Good evening, YTPC. Saw Gunner coming at you here from Tijuana, Baja California. Little quick housekeeping. My Rossi 8122 with my trusty Prince Albert, always a good smoke. Drinking the good stuff tonight, followed by a cerveza. So today I thought I'd talk about how a gringo from northern Illinois wound up living in Mexico. So I guess to start any good story, you should always start from the beginning. So we're going to go way back. We're going to go back to January 1988. I was a young 19-year-old sailor, and I reported to my first ship at Naval Base 32nd Street in San Diego, California. Well, being a young sailor, wanting to do what all sailors do, wanted to go out and have a good time on Liberty. Well, in San Diego, the drinking age was 21. So that just let me and my friends SOL. But right across the border was Tijuana. And there the drinking age was 18. And they really had a happening, back in the day, Avenida Revolucion, or as we called it, La Rebo. That was where all the action was at. That's where, sailors, Marines, students from UCSD, San Diego State, all went down to Tijuana to party on Revolution. So that was my first introduction to Mexico, was a young sailor in Tijuana. In fact, I was 19 years old. That was the first time I had ever been in a foreign country, Tijuana. That was my first foreign port. So, me and my friends would, every weekend, we'd go down to TJ. That's what locals call Tijuana. We call it TJ. So we go down to TJ every weekend, just hit up the clubs. Back then Tijuana wasn't off limits like it is now to the military. There was a curfew, which was, I think, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So we would just stay down there till after curfew was lifted. So, this had been, that was the routine. Go to TJ, And that's where I met, well, now my son's mother, my ex-wife, at one of the dance clubs. And so we started dating, and she was the same age as me, 19, and she was a Mexican American. She lived in San Diego, but she had, family, relatives in TJ. So she was going down with her friends and partying. And we met and started dating. And, one thing led to another, and we got married. Well, being a gringo, marrying into a Mexican family, that was quite an experience. So I started spending more time in Tijuana and really seeing other parts of the city and really just being introduced into the Mexican culture. And eventually I started learning and studying Spanish. And now I speak it quite fluently. So eventually, unfortunately, my ex-wife and we got a divorce. But I was still going to Tijuana. By this time, I was working at the San Diego Superior Court. I'm currently retired from there. I worked there for 30 years. And I retired just a little over a year ago, in April 2022. So I still had a lot of friends and family ties in Tijuana, so I continued to go down there. And that's where I met my second and current wife, hopefully the last one. I love her to death. We've been married, November, we'll have been married for 25 years. So she's put up with me for that long. But, so I met my current wife, and I met her back in January 97. Well, I was divorced and living by myself, and we had been dating for a while. And I was really paying a lot of rent in San Diego. So I started looking for apartments in Tijuana. And I mean, for those of you who don't know, San Diego and Tijuana, they're pretty much right next to each other. You can get from the border to downtown San Diego in 10 or 15 minutes. So I started looking for apartments in Tijuana. And my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, says, "Hey, while you're looking for an apartment, why don't you move in with me?" So I did. So in 1997, I just packed up my stuff and moved to her apartment in Tijuana. To give you an example, this was back in 97, and for a 2-bedroom apartment, I was paying $140 a month. Yeah. So man, life was good. So I moved in with her. Then eventually, about a little more than a year and a half, almost 2 years after we met, we got married. And I immigrated her to the United States. So we moved back to San Diego. And, my wife became a United States citizen. Like I said, I was working at the San Diego Superior Court. We had a pretty good life. I was also in the Navy Reserves. And things were going good. We eventually bought a house in Poway, California, which is up in northern San Diego County. Well, not northern, but Poway. So things were going great. We had a house and everything was just, she had a job as in the shipping department of a big factory. I had my job at the court, and I was in the reserves. Well, then the 2008 economic downturn, housing crisis hit, and in about 2010 my wife got laid off from her job. So I was we were surviving on my income, with mortgage payment, car payment, food, utilities, insurance, bills, and we just couldn't do it. It was a struggle, and we weren't making it. And eventually, sadly, it's one of the sadder moments in our lives, we lost the house. That was a sad moment. So I said to my wife, I said, well, we're losing the house. What do you want to do? And she said, you know what? Let's go back to Mexico. We were happy there. Times were better there. And I had to say, I agreed with her. I mean, those 2 years that I lived with her in Tijuana, those were some of the happiest years of my life. I said, yeah, let's go back to Tijuana. So we loaded everything up, and back to Tijuana we went. This was in 2012. And we found that we rented a house, and this was, to show you again, we were renting a house for 3,000 pesos a month back in 2012. It was like $160. It was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 2-story. It was sectional housing where all the houses are together, but still, that was $160. What do you want? So we started renting. And we always wanted to live near the ocean. So we moved to this suburb. From there, we moved to this suburb of Tijuana called Playas de Tijuana. Playas means beaches. So we lived we actually, from our window, we could see the ocean. Now that house was quite a bit more than 160. We were paying about, well, still, we had a 2-story, like 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, big backyard, huge driveway, a garage, and I was paying $700 a month. That was awesome. Well, we always wanted, I say we as my wife, thank God, thanks to my wife, we have our home. She always wanted her own home. And me, after we lost the house in Poway, I was just kind of, I guess, gun shy. I guess I was like, well, I guess we'll just be renters, you know. She's like, no, no, we're gonna have a house again, and she just was adamant, and she made it happen. So you know, she's a Mexican citizen, so you know she could buy property here in Mexico. So I get home from work one day, and she's like, "Guess what? Guess what?" I'm like, "No, what?" She goes, "We bought a piece of land." And I have to say, I was skeptical at first. I was like, yeah, whatever, you know. But no, so we started every paycheck just putting money away and buying, like, we would buy concrete, we would buy screws, nails, tiles. We just kept every time we got money. And so we started building our house. So this took us 3 or 4 years. And what really put us over the top, about 7 or 8 years ago, I won $10,000 in the Powerball lottery. So I took that money and we finished the house and we moved in. So now I still live in Playas, but I live more up in the hills, and you know, I can't see the ocean from my house. We're walled in, but if I stand out in my street, I can look right down, see the ocean, see the Coronado Islands. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just really nice. So that's how this old gringo wound up living in Mexico. And just last year, I became a Mexican resident. I figured if I'm gonna, you know, be living here, I might as well do it legally. So I became a Mexican resident last year, and then a temporary resident. I still have another year to go on my temporary residency, and then I can renew that for 2 years, and then after that I can become a permanent resident. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm working towards that. And like I said, I just retired in April of 2022. So my wife and I, we just chill. We kick back. I smoke my pipes, drink my whiskeys. And, you know, we've been traveling all over Mexico. We just got back a week ago. You know, I was gone. We were gone for like 6 weeks. We went to Cancun, Chetumal, Bacalar. We were in Mexico City. I was in the state of Tlaxcala, Hidalgo, Puebla. Just enjoying life, man. I love, you know, people ask me, man, don't you get bored? Hell no. I love being retired. And the only thing is, I'm only 54. But luckily, I worked for 30 years. I got that pension. So we're set. Anyway, guys, I've been on here for almost 20 minutes. Probably boring the hell out of you. But that's my story. You know, if you got any questions, feel free to, you know, drop me in the comments. If you like this video, give me a like and a subscribe. And thanks for watching, and thanks for all of the support that I've gotten from the YTPC. It's amazing, unbelievable. The people that have reached out to me and given me encouragement, and you know, I look at my videos and I think, oh man, no, you guys are great, just complimenting me. I'm like, oh, okay. thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Brothers of the Briar, cheers. And you have a good night. All right.